Brighton had a flying start to the season, beating the likes of Everton, Man United, Newcastle, Spurs and Manchester City. But over the last few months, results and performances have dipped below expectations. We've got draws to Southampton and Leicester, defeats to Everton and a big loss to Crystal Palace, created a lot of unrest amongst supporters, with many calling for Hurzeler to be sacked. It's episode 17 today. I'm Louis Selling and I'm joined by Jacob Palladino as we discuss Brighton's season so far, what's gone wrong and if the Hurzeler outshouts were justified. So sit back, relax and welcome back to Midweek Fixture. How are you today, Jacob?
I'm great. Especially after the Chelsea win on a Saturday night, fantastic. I think that won over quite a few people.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm great after that game.
Amazing. So, as always on these podcasts, whenever I have a new guest on, it's important for my audience to know a bit about you. So 30 seconds, who you are, where you're from, how old you are, who you support. I think we can guess, but anything you think is important for them to know.
Yeah, well, I'm Jacob Palladino. I'm like Louis, kind of training to be a sports journalist. I'm from Eastbourne. I'm 18. Obviously, Brighton fan. Been going since 2013, 2014. Been going with my dad. Had a season ticket since then. And yeah, I just I care deeply about the club. I love writing about it. I love kind of being invested in it, I guess.
Yeah, love that. Same here, pretty much. Do you remember your first Brighton game?
Oh wow, my first Brighton game was the 2-0 win against Yeovil in April 2014 when I think Jesse Lee got scored.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one. And then I think since then kind of just hooked me,
Yeah. I think my first was 2015 3-0 loss to Middlesbrough. So, yeah, good start.
That was a bad one.
Yeah. Yeah, let's jump straight into it. We'll start at the start of the season, the summer transfer window. We spent about £200 million. What do you think of the transfer window? Do you think it set up the season well?
I think it was a weird one because yes, you can argue we strengthened in a lot of areas, right? We brought in number 10/wingers.
Yeah.
But then we've neglected the left back position, centre back, even arguably a backup keeper, because obviously Verbruggen at the minute is this season even has been a bit kind of out of form.
Yeah.
And yeah, Jason Steele is fine, but it would be so much better to have maybe a younger, not even younger, like a more middle-aged keeper come in and challenge Verbruggen. But I think overall they were good signings. I think most of them have been semi-successful, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, obviously, a lot of them have been injured, are injured, which we'll get onto a bit later. But, I mean, the start of the season with them, they started really well. And you could see the vision with how they were going to be integrated into the team. But you could also see it's going to take this season for them to settle. And we'll see next season the real impact, I think, with most of them.
Yeah, 100%. I think the only weird signing, because I think like you say, all of them have settled pretty well. All of them have been semi-successful. I think the one I think was a bit of a confusing one was Gruder. 25 million from Mainz, and you can see there's a good player in there, but I think he would have benefited from a loan, and I think bringing him in, then obviously him being injured for a few months, and then coming in and he's been fine in his a few kind of cameos, but I feel like we've sent Buonanotte out on loan. He looks unbelievable at Leicester.
Yeah.
Why not bring him back and give Gruder a chance somewhere else in the Premier League to grow and hopefully learn physicality, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I love Gruder. I think he's a great player. But he only had one professional season before he come here with Mainz. And he's coming straight into a Premier League team. And I think we're playing him out of position, really. I think he's quite similar to Buonanotte. Yes, he can play on the right, but he's definitely a central player.
100%.
But you can't... If you drop in Pedro, you play Georgie there. And no one's dropping Jorginho at the moment.
it's a bit of it's a sticky situation because, like you say, those two are just, when Pedro's on form, he's undroppable.
Yeah,
When Rute's on form, he's undroppable, right?
yeah.
It's just difficult, like you said, for a guy who's only had one pro season.
I mean, and the price tag as well is a lot of pressure, and even he said he's not happy with his performances. So
Yeah,
I think he's definitely a long term investment, but 30 mil on a long term investment is quite a lot of money compared to the 2, 3, 4, 5 million we have been spending on these sort of players.
yeah, definitely. I mean, he will prove us wrong. I think I do. I think obviously there's been signs that this player can definitely make it, but I do think obviously first professional season it might have been a little bit of too big of a jump,
Yeah,
but he can still prove me wrong. We've still got a bit of the season to go.
yeah, 100%. Well, we said the season started really well. 3-0 battering of Everton, I'd say. The
Yeah.
Spurs comeback, the grinding out the 1-0 at Newcastle, obviously the big City win, beating United as well. Unbelievable. What did you make of the start of the season?
I thought so. I think the start of the season is split into two very clear kind of sections. There's pre-Chelsea away, and then there's after Chelsea away.
Yeah,
Because I think up until Chelsea away, it was very clear that Hurzeler was really trying to implement his philosophy from
yeah,
St. Pauli.
yeah,
The high line, the midfielder dropping in, all those kind of principles he was really trying. As soon as the Chelsea loss exposed, I guess, I don't want to say his naivety because he is clearly a very intelligent manager, right?
yeah,
He's only 31. The guy, he's very smart. But that game being in the stands and just watching them get in again and again and again, it was just kind of like, is this going to work in the long run? And then
yeah,
obviously after that game was the Tottenham game, I
yeah,
believe.
yeah, I think so.
And, you know, even that in the first half, high line, they destroyed us in the first half. And then
Yeah,
I think the second half of that game, he changed it, obviously won. But I think that sacrificed quite a lot of the excitement that was in that
yeah,
style of play.
yeah, 100%. But I mean, the positive from it is that he's not scared to change it, which
100%. Yeah.
I'd say with De Zerbi was his downfall. It was his way of playing, and that was it.
Mm, definitely. Yeah. I think, well, again, for example, the Chelsea game last Saturday, he changed it again. We
Yeah,
looked a lot more like his St. Pauli team. The high line
yeah,
was coming back up. I think, yeah, it's a good sign.
yeah,
I don't blame him because obviously it was not working,
yeah,
and he changed it, and it started to work, right?
yeah, 100%. I mean, you touched on it already about neglecting the defence in the summer window. I think that's the biggest thing Hurstler needed for his system to
Yeah,
work because Dunk is a great defender, maybe dropping off a little bit. Van Heck, great defender. Webster was very good against Chelsea. Injury prone, inconsistent though. Same with Igor. I don't think any of them can play in a back three really, which is how Hurst likes to play, and definitely not quick enough to play in a high line.
yeah, no, 100%. I mean, for example, the back three, they definitely can't play in the back three. We saw the back three against Luton away last
Yeah,
season. We lost 4-0.
yeah,
So they definitely can't do that. And I think, yeah, I think Dunk. I do feel bad for him because I feel like he could still keep going,
yeah,
but injuries are just catching up
yeah,
with him.
yeah,
It's so sad to against Chelsea on Saturday night. The guy went down three times, but he was
yeah,
getting up and he still made it to half time.
yeah.
So I think definitely in summer we need a centre back
Hundred
or two.
percent, 100%. But yeah, Chelsea. That's sort of where it started going a bit wrong. We had the Southampton draw, which you can argue we probably should have lost that game. The
Yeah,
pretty dodgy decision. Then the big loss to Palace was not great, and the Everton loss. We just looked void of ideas during them games. Couldn't put the ball in the net. Passive, slow. The intensity had just disappeared. I think.
yeah. I think the worst offender was the Palace loss in a
Hmm.
way because obviously trying to keep my bias out of it as possible. I think when you look that devoid of ideas against your main rival, and you let them walk you just all over the pitch, you do have to ask questions about how much the manager gets it
Yeah,
and how much the players get it,
yeah,
because they clearly didn't turn up to play Crystal Palace,
yeah,
and I think that is one of the biggest crimes. And I think also the Everton game was also
yeah,
very, very bad
yeah.
because obviously,
Mm,
it was just walking pace for
yeah,
90% of the game, and you can't do that against Everton when they're going to sit compact, tight. And it was, yeah, I think those two specifically were kind of the
yeah,
ones where I started to waver on my support for Fabian Hurzeler.
yeah. The Everton game was one shot on target, and it's just we seem to go from being really intense and going for it to really complicated attacking patterns that just didn't work, and we just pass it around the edge of the box. We'd lose it, and they just go over the top,
Yeah.
and they'd probably score.
Yeah, that's the thing as well. Like, I don't even think there are attacking patterns when we're trying to do that. Like, I think when we're playing intense front foot football like we did against Chelsea,
Yeah,
that it's very clear there's a plan when we're attacking. But
yeah,
against Everton, when we're trying to intricately break them down, it was literally sideways and backwards, sideways.
yeah,
With De Zerbi, at least when we played teams like that, he would there would be a clear plan to try and break through them.
yeah,
With Hursley, it's just kind of like, if one of you does something, it's okay, right?
yeah.
It's yeah,
Give the ball to Matoma and Pedro and pray that they do something was
yeah,
I think that was said, and I feel like he's been guilty of at points throwing all the attacking players on and praying that something happens.
yes, especially against Everton
Yeah,
with with Webster up front. um, just at times playing with six up front, maybe.
yeah,
I think that needs to kind of be ironed out, I guess, because
yeah,
that is certainly seems like panic, right?
yeah,
But
100%.
yeah,
He'll learn from it though, I think.
yeah, no,
But
definitely,
I think another two things that definitely impacted the dip in form is injuries, and
yeah,
we have made a lot of individual mistakes, which
yes,
can't necessarily be put on Hurster. Verbruggen's passing out the back has been questionable sometimes. The goal we conceded against Chelsea, and then players out of position. Igor for the Arsenal goal was left wing when they're counter attacking. Like that's on the players, in my opinion, not Hurster.
yeah. I think this season specifically as well, Verbruggen has been exposed, I
Yeah,
guess, for kind of not being poor with his feet, because at times he's very good passing the ball
yeah,
out. It's just he seems to have these like moments of madness where he'll play this hospital pass through
yeah,
the middle, that the pass of death,
yeah,
where it's midfielders coming onto it, put it into him. That is one of the worst passes to play, I think, in
yeah,
modern football. And the amount of, I think he's made five individual mistakes
yeah.
this
Five
season.
or six. Yeah,
That is not good enough, right?
yeah,
And although Steele had his critics last season when people were saying play for Bruggen, Steele didn't really make that many,
yeah,
errors, right?
yeah,
He did obviously maybe have goals he should have done better with, X, Y, Z, but he didn't make any explicit errors,
yeah,
So I think obviously he's out now. You can't play him, and I think our only other option is Rushworth. I think Carl
yeah.
Rushworth.
Wadsworth or McGill.
I mean, yeah,
Big risk.
hopefully, yeah, hopefully he picks up. I think he can
Yeah,
definitely. I think against Chelsea, I think the support he received, because I was behind the goal when it went in. I think the support he received after it will help him
yeah,
definitely, because I don't think we understand that he is at rock bottom at the minute, right?
yeah,
So you hope,
yeah. I mean, I think the worst thing we could do right now is drop him
yeah,
because that will just kill his confidence, and he
yeah,
won't be able to rectify that mistake straight away. Well, I think against Chelsea in the second half, he was fantastic.
yeah. No,
With his
definitely. I think exactly.
passing, saves, what
Yeah,
you'd expect, really.
yeah. I mean, it was the Bruggen of last season
Yeah,
of the first few games of this season, right? And I think it is good that, in a way, I think Hurzeler is a much more kind of forgiving manager than De
Yeah.
Zerbi,
Yeah.
and probably won't drop him.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, we said the individual mistakes, also injuries, a big
Yeah,
impact because Hurster likes to play his 11, which he hasn't been able to do, which has impacted how we play, I think, as well. Players 70% fit with the intensity is obviously going to drop there. I think we've lost 1,000 days from injuries this
yeah,
season, which is
2024 or something.
double the
Crazy.
average.
Yeah,
O'Reilly was out straight away. Gruder was out straight away. Kadioglu's probably out for the remainder of the season. Eagle's out for the rest of the season. Pedro's been out for a while. Welbeck out for a while. Ferguson out for a while. I mean, just there shows why it hasn't been clicking all the time.
yeah, exactly. You know, what I think again though, this comes back to not reinforcing this winter window and maybe even in the summer window, right?
Yeah,
We signed all these players, you know, all these wingers, all these Tettons, but we're not signing the positions we need. You know, we've had the injuries and we've looked most vulnerable at the back because
yeah,
we've had to play a patched up back four. You know, Lamptey a left back often now because Estepinian's out and
yeah,
Kalioglu. You know, and obviously Dunk's been less
yeah,
reliable. It's just difficult, and you do hope in next summer's window there is a bit of kind of less thinking about the model and the whole, you know, we can sign this player who's 18, he can play centre back, and maybe going out and finding someone who's ready to play in the Premier League,
yeah.
centre back, left back, you know, yeah,
See, that's what I like the cash in signing. Yes,
yeah,
he's probably most definitely from our data model because we've been tracking him for a long time. But he's a proper defender, and I
yeah,
feel that's what you need when you're struggling a little bit. Yes, he's not the tallest, but he's going to put himself about. He's going to smash into a few people and give a bit of passion, which
yeah,
again,
no,
something you need in these moments.
100%. Yeah, I mean, from watching him at Derby a few times, he is when he plays, you know, a cut above the rest of that team.
Yeah,
Obviously they're struggling this season, but even in a team that's relegation threatened, he looks, you know, real
yeah,
quality. Like a lead, he's a leader, can put his body on the line, can
yeah,
pick a pass. You know, he's what we arguably need.
yeah, 100%. Shame he's not a little bit faster, but we can't complain too much at the moment. But I mean, the Forest. I'm going to call it a loss, but it's more than a loss really. Highlighted why you need that player like cashing in there. Obviously, if people don't know, 7-0, embarrassing. But what do you think about that game? We have to give it in some detail.
Wow. I think that game was arguably one of the worst games I've watched as a Brighton fan, you know, in 10 years.
Yeah,
I think just the kind of the collapse of any sort of confidence after that third goal went in
yeah,
was just so disheartening to watch. Like, I don't know. And then in the second half, you know, he brings on the subs. You think, okay, you know, we've started the second half a bit better. Maybe we
yeah,
can, you know, come out of this with some dignity, and then we lose the second half 4-0,
yeah,
right? It was just like as every goal went in, you just kind of went, "This has been coming." I
yeah,
think we've been waiting for a loss like this for a while now.
yeah. I think it was needed though.
Yeah, I mean, needed in the sense that I think the players definitely needed kind of a kick to kind of, and Hursley himself,
Yeah,
that you know it's not, you know, Premier League ain't as easy as it has been
no,
so far for you. You know, you're gonna have days like this. You know, even
yeah,
De Zerbi had days where we were
yeah,
getting spanked, you know, 6-1 by Aston Villa.
yeah.
So I
It
do
happens
think, yeah, it happens, and I think as a young manager,
if he
you're
learns from
bound
it.
to. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I do. That was kind of the game though that did kind of
hmm
put me towards the Hurst out
yeah.
camp a little bit.
100% justified after that game in terms of some of the tweets I saw were extremely reactionary and yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not even going to discuss those because they're ridiculous. But him starting Hinshelwood in midfield in his own looked a ridiculous decision, and it proved to be a ridiculous decision. But if you look at his bench, he had a 70% fit O'Reilly. He had Gomez, who's probably not ready to start a Premier League game, and Joe Knight, who's never played in the first team.
Yeah.
Did he really have any other choice?
I think it's difficult because and this is also Hinshelwood was just coming back from injury. He
Yeah,
wasn't 100% fit, so I guess you look at what he actually did do, and I think it was more of Hinshelwood in the middle, and then Ruter was like
yeah,
dropping next to
yeah,
him, which was I understand the thinking, but I just
yeah,
don't. I think that was bound to not work.
yeah,
I think he had no choice, right? O'Reilly, as much as I like O'Reilly, and I think he's been very unfortunate with injuries, never injured at
yeah,
Celtic before coming here. I think he isn't the best when we're playing a team that are going to be
yeah,
pressing, because he isn't really a heavyweight midfielder
yeah,
that you in there to break up play. He is more intricate. So I think, like you said, it is the best we could have done.
yeah,
Obviously, the best was unfortunately quite a bizarre kind of
yeah,
out.
yeah. But even people were saying, "Oh, he should have started O'Reilly and Gomez and then brought Hinshelwood on." But I mean, when he changed it, we conceded another 4 goals.
Yeah, I
So
mean, I don't think he could have won
no,
because obviously I think Brighton Twitter is very reactionary. Very, out of a lot of fan bases, I think it is probably one of the most
yeah,
reactionary kind of coming for your throat if we've lost. So I think while I do want to give Hurst some slack for that game because obviously it was slightly enforced what
yeah,
he had to do, I do think it was as any manager losing 7-0 like that,
yeah.
it's a kind of not a great.
Oh no, 100% not. But then straight away after the Forest loss, we had the last few days of the deadline.
Yeah,
The winter window will start. We spoke about cashing already. I think it's a good signing,
yeah,
important signing to make. And then we'll talk about who we didn't bring in first because
yeah,
we didn't bring a left back in, which was probably needed,
yeah.
and the whole Tommy Watson saga on deadline
Oh,
day.
yeah, that was a strange one. For a player who's started 2 games this
Yeah,
season, 3 games,
yeah,
I think having a whole kind of saga for him when we actually don't need him, it's just a bit bizarre. Like I don't, the whole him coming down, you know, waiting at the training ground for hours for us to
yeah,
agree a deal, trying to send a Dingra to Sunderland. I just think that whole deal was a bit bizarre and a
yeah,
bit kind of strange considering we don't need him,
yeah.
right?
I mean, he looks to be a good player, and he obviously has a lot of potential. But it's not really a signing you need in January. It's
It's strange,
yeah,
right? We could have focused our efforts on bringing
at left back.
yeah, I don't know if he was a left back, but the Swedish Biskov,
Yeah,
but yeah, we were if we didn't focus all our time on Watson and maybe kind of looked at Biskov and went, hold on, this guy can't play left back, he would be cover,
yeah,
go for him because we agreed a deal. Obviously, personal terms fell
yeah,
apart. It's just a strange kind of target to have.
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see us go back in for him in the summer.
I hope so because he looks a good player,
Yeah,
right? He looks like a very Canioglu
yeah,
type of figure, very versatile.
yeah,
He's fast, good ball on him.
yeah,
You hope so.
yeah. I mean, I think Watson as well will revisit in the summer. Seems quite likely of us to go. Maybe
Yeah,
we don't see a Dingra as what we thought it was going to be, and that will be a
yeah. I mean, I feel that Ingra this season has been not treated unfairly because obviously we don't know what's going on behind the scenes,
yeah,
but I think his kind of sudden kind of being pushed to the side kind of
yeah,
it's strange because
yeah,
he was such a big part of last season. despite maybe that was through injuries, but I think there's a good player in there. He's been playing out of position when he
Yeah,
comes on.
yeah, yeah. But there was one signing on deadline day that I think everyone was pretty pleased with, apart from the sending him back out on loan to Nuremberg. But I feel like that was probably part of the deal. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it probably wouldn't have happened. But that was the signing of Stefano Simas. I've spoken about him a lot on the channel already, and in articles and on Twitter. I think he's
Yeah.
going to be a big player for us next season.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you're from your tweets, from how much you talk about him, massive fan. And I think from the player from the videos I've seen, from the highlights I've seen, he does look like the real deal, right? He's fast. I think it's what we need up front, because I think Pedro, Welbeck aren't the fastest.
Nope.
I think Welbeck is definitely slowing down as well. He's big. He's a big lad,
Yeah.
and he can score. He's got a shot in him, and I think
Yeah.
is it 16 goals this season?
10 goals this season, I think.
10 and 16. That I got
Yeah.
that. Um, you know, he's he's definitely a worthy investment, and you hope the plan is to bring Ferguson back after a
Yeah.
hopefully successful spell at West Ham
Yeah.
and put them together.
Yeah.
Sadly, I don't think that will be the case, but you hope.
I
You
mean,
live
it
and
would
hope.
be a very good front two. If we plan on going a two, I mean, I can definitely see us going two Hurzeler 3-4-3. He played at St. Pauli. If we've
Yeah,
signed defenders, which we've said a lot. But the
yeah,
way we played against Chelsea, he kind of had his St. Pauli tactics, as you said, but in a four. Van Heck pressed high against Nkunku. Dunk went really high against Palmer. And then Baleba went really high against Dewsbury Hall, which left a lot of space in behind. But
yeah,
as soon as we conceded that first goal, Dunk sort of covered it a little bit more and passed Palmer on to Hinchelwood. I mean, it worked. Palmer was
yeah,
silent most of the game.
yeah. No, 100%. I think it was really refreshing to see as well, because I think we've had an issue this season of maybe tiring out
Yeah,
towards the end of games. Like, it's been very obvious that the players, I think Hurzeler said himself, my players, aren't at the fitness level I want. I think it was after the Arsenal draw. The players aren't at the level I want them to be, so they can
yeah,
play my system. Um, against Chelsea, they looked fit. They looked ready to
yeah,
do that, to play that system. They were, like you said, pressing high against, nullifying the players, leaving in the space behind. But I think finally understanding how to play the high line,
yeah,
because obviously you're going to get, there was the Nkunku challenge where he's gone through and he's tried to loft it over
yeah,
to Palmer.
yeah,
You're going to get moments like that, but if you survive them and
yeah,
you manage the nearly moments well, that it works, and
yeah,
it did work, right?
yeah. It worked very well. I mean, the second half of the City win as well, when Baleba come on, coming high, the counter pressing. If you combine that with what we saw against Chelsea, it's pretty much is what he did at St. Pauli, and it works.
It works, and I think this, hopefully this is a sign that from now on he's going to keep slowly trying to implement those
Yeah,
tactics as the season goes on, because I think we're not going to get relegated.
no,
We're not going to get relegated. We're probably not going to get Europe through the league, at least, either. So in a way, he has nothing to lose.
yeah, free hit.
If he slowly integrates what he was doing at St. Pauli, I do genuinely think next season, and when we finish the season in May, next season will look very promising, because
Yeah,
I think people will have been hopefully brought back on side, because he certainly brought me back on side
yeah,
after Saturday. Um, yeah, you hope. You do
yeah.
hope so.
I mean, I think that. I mean, we're only 3 points off eighth, which at the moment is looking likely is the Conference League spot. So never say never about Europe. FA Cup as well, potentially, is a route. I mean, the Newcastle draw is obviously not great,
No,
but I mean, even I think this season we signed £200 million worth of players. They're all young players though, so on the outside looking in, it looks like right they're going for it this season. We need to win, but I think Tony Bloom said to Hurzeler, experiment. You get this season to experiment. Next season is when you need to do something.
You know what? I agree because I think like you said, one of the arguments I've heard for Hurzeler to go is the whole kind of we've spent 200 million, but we're not getting results. We've wasted money on a manager who doesn't have any tactics, right? There's the no midfield joke,
Yeah.
right? And I think, like you said, I think there is clearly a plan because a lot of owners could have seen the performances leading up to the Forest game and the Forest game and gone, okay, maybe we have made a mistake and pulled the trigger. I think Tony Bloom not pulling the trigger, letting him get that win against Chelsea, kind of from now on, I think it depends how we deal with Chelsea on Friday.
Yeah.
Honestly, because that game, how he manages that, and if we get a similar result,
Yeah.
I think then he'll have me. I'll be right on the Hurzeler train again, right?
Yeah.
I think that game is huge.
Yeah.
Definitely.
See, for me, I'm not too bothered about results at the moment. It's performances. Because we've had a lot of pretty poor performances, and then obviously results don't go well with that. I think the City win was a good performance. Chelsea was obviously a good performance. I think our United 3-1 away win was still not a good performance. And when you're having bad performances and you're getting wins, it is good at the time. It's not sustainable though.
No, 100%. I think like in the wins we've had this season, you can go Everton away, good performance, I argue,
Yeah.
good win.
Yeah.
Man United at home, 2-1, good performance.
Yeah.
I mean, again, you can argue that was Ten Hag's Man United, not exactly the biggest standard bearer.
Yeah.
Good win. It was after that. It was.
I mean, the Spurs game, first half performance, rubbish.
Yeah.
Second half, Spurs sort of... We played well in the second half, but Spurs sort of did fall apart.
Yeah.
Same with the City game. First half, pretty rubbish. Second half, good.
I don't think we were poor against City, though. I do think that first half was down to us maybe being too passive, and I don't think that's necessarily playing bad. I think it's just kind of we gave them too much respect, and then obviously second half, Hurzeler's gone, right, you need to kind of up the tempo, really kind of get in their faces, and obviously we did that and we won the game. So I think,
I think the two 2-2s with Wolves and Leicester, I think they were good performances.
Yeah.
But we threw it away at the end.
I think definitely. I'd argue the Wolves game was not the greatest because I think they did have us under the cosh for a good 20 minutes until Ferguson scored, which I think is worrying considering they're not the most high quality team. And at that time, obviously, it was Gary O'Neill's Wolves.
Yeah.
So I'd argue that one was maybe a not great performance. But I think Leicester, certainly, that was just unfortunate and again down to individual mistakes.
Yeah, moment of just stupidity. But it was, again, I think, though, bringing Eager on with not long to go in a game that's pretty intense, 2-1, you put a centre-back in and changed to back three that literally got us absolutely destroyed against Fulham. I mean, it was a recipe for disaster there, really.
Yeah, 100%.
But
I think certainly the Fulham game, interestingly, I think that wasn't a bad performance.
Yeah.
In a weird way, because I think we created chances.
Yeah.
I can think of the Adingra chance. I think Van Hecke had a header.
Yeah.
Obviously, Believer's goal. I don't think we played badly in that game. I think, again, individual mistakes. Verbruggen making the error, then the incredibly unfortunate O'Reilly own goal.
Yeah.
Right? So I think, again, there have been, I argue, more good performances than bad. But I think the bad performances have been so bad that they've caught the eye a lot more.
Yeah. I think the season's just been a bit hit and miss, really, which says it's just an experiment. Let him just see what he wants to do, see which players he likes. I mean, it's shown what players we desperately need, which is a good thing. It's a good thing if we act on it in the summer.
100%.
And I think
that's the acid test. We need to act on it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think if we don't act on it, and then Hurzeler's kind of hung out to dry next season, we kind of get a similar cycle of kind of this weird one week we're back, one week we're
Yeah,
playing poorly. I think that could be difficult for him, but I have faith again in Tony Bloom.
yeah.
He's given us everything basically. So who's to say he won't this summer?
I mean, he's not stupid, is he?
No, definitely not.
But yeah, we'll end on your final opinions of Hurzeler. Are you in? Are you out? Are you on the fence? What do you think he needs to show you for the rest of the season to be like, yeah, he's the man for next season?
Okay, I at the minute I'm on the fence because I think I was out after Forest. Chelsea games reeled me back to on the fence. If we beat Chelsea or play well on Friday, I'm back in. I'm back on the train. I think what he needs to do for the rest of the season is, like we've said, start integrating the same PAULI tactics.
Yeah,
We just need to slowly show us, show the supporters that there is going to be a progression next season where
yeah,
we play just with a bit more style and a bit more kind of more principled, right?
yeah. I mean, I completely agree. He's needs if he shows good performances for the rest of the season. Yeah, there can be a few bad ones. I don't mind that. Everyone has bad spells now and again.
Yeah.
They just need them St. Pauli tactics because in the summer, yeah, watching YouTube videos, yes, is not the best way to tell, but the tactics looked strong and
Yeah.
they dominated the second Bundesliga. I mean, I think that's quite a difficult league, personally.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've got more knowledge on it than me. Yeah, 100%. I can agree.
But yeah, that is all for today. I think great chat. I think it's kind of everything we spoke about shows hit and miss season. We're there and thereabouts. We're getting there. Chelsea on Friday is absolutely huge for, I mean, the fans in terms of their reactionary comments and whether they're in or out, and in terms of showing if Hurzeler is going to be the man for next season. Just a good performance. That's what everyone wants. I mean, I think neutrals are kind of saying a similar thing.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, just give us something to hold on
Yeah,
to, right? Just give us a sign. That's all we need.
100%. Yeah, thanks for coming on, Jacob. It was great having
Thank
you
you for
on.
having me.
Great conversation. Loved talking about Brighton. Usually it's not about Brighton these videos because I'll be a bit biased sometimes. A lot about City recently and stuff like that. But yeah, more Brighton definitely coming up soon. Definitely at the end of the season to see how bad or well this conversation has aged.
Yeah, brilliant. Fantastic. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Pleasure having you on. See you all next week for hopefully we've got some Bundesliga videos coming. Bundesliga 2 videos coming with some German supporters, as I mentioned last week. But yeah, see you all very, very soon. Adios.